Have you had the distinct uncanny feeling lately that everything around you, it doesn't fit the way it used to? You may have shifted and you don't know it. Let's take a look as we go farther. Maybe you walked into your home, or you look at the professional goals you chased for years, or maybe engaged with the people that you used to trust completely, and suddenly everything feels entirely out of alignment. Time is moving erratically. A single afternoon feels like a month of lessons, or an entire week vanishes into thin air before you can even grab a hold of it. You look at your current life, you look at the fast movements around you, and be honest, a little whisper to yourself, I don't know who I am in this space anymore. You aren't losing your mind, and you're certainly not crazy. What if I told you that you didn't break, you didn't fall apart, you didn't do anything wrong? Actually, you did things that are very right for you, for your own life. What if you actually shifted? Your physical body and your waking mind are just trying to calibrate to the change that you have already stepped into. So welcome back to Ascending Soul's Journey. I am Lorianne, and today we are stepping completely out of any victim or a box, a labeling, and we are diving straight into the deep human science of energetic calibration. Now, if you're feeling very inwardly intense inside, a little bit tight in the chest, and your breathing is off, take a deep breath in through the nose. Fill up your lungs, fill up your diaphragm, and let it out very slowly. Now, we look at the literal and direct relationship between the universe, science, and the human brain. And as a regular person who has survived the absolute trenches of my own business frustrations, relationship loops, and movements of wanting to quit. Let me translate what is actually happening to you in your waking reality when your inner work finally starts working. When a shift actually is taking place. So we're going to move right into 3 checkpoints. And when people on the internet talk about shifting timelines or moving dimensions, it sounds like a movie, right? Doesn't it sound like that? It's like, wait, this sounds like something I saw. It sounds separate from the daily grit of life, the bills, the reality of everyday itself. But through the lens of neuro-linguistic programming and timeline integration, we know that your brain projects your external environment based entirely on your internal code. Now, for years, you've been doing this heavy lifting, and it can actually feel like your shoulders are twice as heavy as they should be. Like maybe your muscles are really heavy. It feels weighted. You face the triggers. You have had your buttons pushed over and over. You've done the crying, and you have consciously broken that generational pattern of chaos and unstable relationships. But here is the law of mind and energy. When you finally cross that threshold and update your internal frequency, your external world must, and I underline the word must, undergo a massive, sometimes disorientating recalibration to match the new you, because you were on a different frequency then than you are today. So there has to be a transferal, a bridge from one side to the other. A shift isn't a magical escape from reality. A shift is you changing so profoundly that your old life no longer fits those shoulders. And that's the calibration period. And it can feel like a total nightmare if you don't know the signs. So let's look at 3 specific mindfulness checkpoints to recognize your own personal growth. It's really a great way for you to monitor yourself, your progress, and you can feel that free to book a session with me if you'd like to. Checkpoint 1 is the friction of old noise. The conversations, environments, and even digital chatter that you used to tolerate easily now feel absolutely deafening. Though you can't tolerate listening to it, you can't handle it. And if you get some slop thrown at you, you're like, nah, knock it out of the park and kick it right back. It's not that the world has suddenly gotten louder. It is that your boundary system updated. Your energy is naturally repelling the static. That's what it is. You're put up this energetic barrier saying, no more. So that leads us into checkpoint 2, the ghost town pause. Now, I think a lot of you may resonate with this, and let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Your life suddenly gets incredibly quiet. The old frantic drama stops, and the new momentum has not kicked in yet. And this is where many people panic right here. There is so much silence, it hurts your ears almost. And it definitely emphasizes if you have ringing in your ears, or if you've been going through the breathing, you can feel all these different things inside of your body. You see that many people, they think the silence means failure, but it doesn't. It is the necessary, the sacred space before the introduction of your next major chapter in life. You evolving on a higher level, ascending is growing. And that's exactly what this means. You're moving into a different life, the one that you really want. And you want it because that's where you're focused. So that leads us into checkpoint 3, and this is another really good way for you to be paying attention, self-awareness. The intolerance for the victim box, and I'm putting that in quotes. So whether you're a healer or not, but healers are really going to recognize this, as you go through this whole journey to be sitting there helping somebody like you wanted to do, like you know you're supposed to do. And then this, checkpoint 3, comes in. You find yourself completely unable to sit in any type of complaining. When somebody continues to complain on a repeated basis, the helplessness, and especially the gossip, that's a big one. So whether it's coming out of your own mouth or from the people you love, or even your clients, you simply do not have that energetic capacity to play small for anything anymore. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute, because when we recognize that that is such a negative drawback that blocks us in so huge ways, blocks it, everything on every level of life. We see life very differently. So this is something we just can't tolerate, which leads us into part 3, which is overcoming the freeze state. That when that disorientation hits, the self-sabotage energy tries to trap you. Because remember, safety to the subconscious mind just means what is familiar. If struggle, chaos, and survival are all what you know, then the peace and stability feel terrifying. I see it with my clients all the time. I lived it myself. They hit that massive shift. The unknown is scary. So they take a step back. They procrastinate. They want to look over the edge as if they were the fool on the fool card. They want to dip their toe in the lake just to make sure that it's tepid and perfect temperature. Because if they can't see it, it's hard to believe it, and we distrust it. So they do nothing. They simply freeze. I know that freeze state intimately. I have sat behind my own screen trying to fix my business, feeling so frustrated by tech, by the upgrades and changes that I wanted to throw my hands up and walk away from it all. Same thing in relationships and other areas of life. I almost let the fear of the future steer me away from my gut, my intuition. And this is where we have to be very cautious and very aware, where we will instantly grab in a split second, go in the direction that we don't necessarily want to go into, and watch ourselves go into it and still feel frozen as you move into there. The freeze is an old defense mechanism running in the background, but you don't have to jump into that background. True growth happens when you stay in the room long enough to see past the frustration. You look at every little detail of that self-sabotage energy you have been dealing yourself for so long. You catch yourself in the act and you refuse to hand over your personal authority. Now, that's pretty powerful personal growth and development. And you cannot force this upgraded version of who you are back into that cramped, unstable box that you outgrew. You cannot climb into a new path using an old broken ladder. If the rules of your reality feel like they've changed, it's because you have changed them. You've made the changes, and everything is starting to catch up to what you've already implemented. Which leads us into part 4. The aligned step. Now stop looking back at all that old chaos. Okay, we don't even want to look at that. Cut out the digital chatter. Whatever drawing your attention, the repeated scrolling fast, whatever it is, just step away from it. Step away from the frantic, fast movements of the outside world. Anything outside of you, yourself, your mind, body, and soul. And trust the quiet calibration of the trio, of the unity of mind, body, and spirit. Because you are the master of this shift. You are steering the ship. If you were looking at the ocean right now, the flowing water, as the waves hit the shore, let them wash away the residue of who you used to be. If you're ready to actively navigate this new timeline and master the specific tools of NLP, hypnosis, personal self-hypnosis, and somatic clearing to anchor your new space, join us in the new level right here on YouTube. But for now, right now, just listen. Feel the ground beneath you. It's under your feet. Trust that space where it feels connected, but yet you can feel the air circulating. Trust the space you're in. Breathe deep and stay completely anchored in your body and claim your personal sovereignty. Until next time.